Hello, good morning. Anybody out there today wanting to sew for a little while? Hello, and how are you? I am here on a rainy morning in my studio, and so what better place to be? So I have a bunch of projects to show you and share with you today. I've got my coffee. I hope you have a little something, water, coffee, drink by you so that you can stay for a little while and make some progress on one of your projects. So welcome. My name is Stephanie and I am the Everyday Sewist. And I'd like to know what's going on in your world. Are you right here it's summer. And it's in the morning. We have hopefully we'll be joined by people from different time zones, and so wonder what it's like in your part of the world. So let's get some sewing started. I'll do a little bit of this and then I'll show you what I'm working on today. I am sewing on my Bernina. This is a 153. So it's an old machine. Let me bring you down here a little bit. Maybe, is that a little better? Of course, you can't see me terribly well. Okay, let's see. So this is my Bernina 153. It's a Virtuosa. It was made in Switzerland. It was built in the 90s, I believe, is when this model came out. So it's newer than my other Bernina that I have. So I really love it. I bought it used. It's a bit dusty right now. I guess I need to do my cleaning up for August. And I like it because I like the blue front on it. Oh, hi, Jane. You're going to work on your hand quilting. That's great. That's great. You can get a lot done if you can stick around for a little while. You'll get some progress on that. So the project I am working on today, and I'm sewing with Aurifil thread on a cone. Let's see if I can get this. So here is my Aurifil on a cone. This is color number 2026. It's not white, it's a cream. I prefer buying my Aurifil on the cone, and then I have a thread stand here, which you can't see. Let me get that thread stand in here. So this is the kind of stand that you need when you're using a cone thread on a regular machine. And it's about $20 to get one of these. I think there's a lot of hacks out there too. So if you wanted to put it into a jar or do something like that, I think the important thing about it is that it has this hook. Let me bring that around again. Is that it has this hook to bring your thread up so that it comes across to the right place on your machine for feeding it into your machine. So, but I like to get the thread on a cone. It's much cheaper that way, even though it seems really expensive at the time when you're buying it. So that's what I'm sewing. That's what I'm sewing with today. I've got my iron set up behind me. You can see that. I pulled that over so that it'd be a little closer because I am going to need to iron these as I go. Let's get this into the right place. It's already slid a little bit while I was talking. Don't want to have a wrinkle on that. So I'm sewing these together without pins because it seems too daunting to have to put in 100 million pins on every one of these. So I'm just pinning with my fingers. So the project I am working on today is this, these columns, and the name of the project is Offset. That is the name that it was given by Cheryl Arkison, who I saw doing this several months, maybe a year or two ago. I'd have to look up when I started this project. It's been a leader ender for me for, let's just say, too long. I really like to move my leader ender projects along, and this one has been sitting around being built into these columns for way too long, because I do think I started it in 2024, maybe in the fall of 2024. So that means it's getting close to 2 years old. And my leader ender projects, I'd prefer to be able to swap them out, have them done every maybe 6 months to a year. So I decided to, what's that expression, cut bait. I decided that what I have done so far is going to be enough. Enough is enough. And I'm not going to keep trying to build these units anymore. So I'll just backtrack a little in case you haven't seen. I mean, I keep mentioning it in every episode because it's still a work in progress. And I'm getting a little bored with that. So anyway, so hopefully not too many more times before that I'll have to talk about it again and it'll be done. So I have a 2.5 inch square of a light print, a low volume neutral, if you will. They are all different. I cut up scraps, I cut up yardage, I cut up, everything that I could get my hands on for neutrals. And then the prints are cut 1.5 by 2.5 inches. So when I was cutting 2.5 inch strips for something, I was often able to cut a little 1.5 by 2.5 inch piece or more off the end of it. So I have lots of them still left. But like I said, I'm getting tired with this. I think I can find another use for some of these. And obviously you can always use 2.5 inch squares. So I'm not worried about having any neutrals left over. So my original plan with this, at first I thought it was going to be a table runner. I thought I was going to be done with it in a month's time. And then I got the grand idea that I should make a bigger quilt with it. And then I started figuring out how many of these little units I would need. And I figured it out all the way up to a queen size, meaning I would need as many as like 1,400 of these individual units. So I'd need 1,400 of those. So I sewed and sewed and sewed and sewed. And I still have a little tray full of these units, which I will hopefully use somehow. We'll see. But right now, because I want it done, I am scaling it back. I am thinking, let's see, I was going to go as long as 33 of those units in a column, and that would make it 96 inches in length. now I've decided to go down to 26 units and have it 78 inches in length, which will be a good napper size. I think that's going to be plenty. And I have at least 27 of these columns done. And because I'm making them shorter, when I get to the end of sewing a column on, I almost always have a few of these to take off. Okay, so I'll be removing a few of those, and then I just add them on to make another column. So I just decided to do this last night. I just decided this was enough for me. And so last night I sewed together 10 columns. And I'm not laying it out ahead of time. I am not trying to avoid two prints being next to each other because, of course, it happened. There's at least 3 places already where, come on, I'm sewing these on randomly, and they will still end up being right next to each other, right? That's just the way of the world. Even if I planned it out, it would still happen. So I'm not going to worry about it. The other thing I thought was really going to be very daunting is I was thinking in my mind what a pain in the neck it was going to be to have to sit and pin every one of these intersections all the way down. Not going to do it. Not going to pin them. I just decided that I will have my little seam ripper pointer here, and I will hold things in place as I sew. And we're moving on. We're going to get this one on its way out the door, done. So that's my plan. That's what I'm gonna hopefully get worked on. I don't know, could I think I could get all these columns sewn in a week. I think. I am pressing the seams towards the darker print, towards the little 1.5 by 2.5 inch print piece. And that is gonna be it. Do you get that way? Have you had a project lately, or do you remember a project where you couldn't wait to get it done? Oh, look, 2 of the same right there. Unbelievable, but you know what? Not going to worry about it. And the thing is, when I was cutting these pieces, I probably have no more than 4 or 5 pieces of the same print. So you tell me how in a lap size, twin size quilt, I'm going to end up with 2 of them right next to each other when there's only 4 of them in the whole quilt. It's crazy, isn't it? No such thing as random. Random really maybe doesn't exist. So I'll see if I can get a couple of these columns sewn on this morning. And before you know it, it might actually cover somebody on a couch. I think it would be kind of pretty as a queen size quilt, but I just don't have the stamina. So, because what I found out is that while I'm working on this one, I have not had a chance to sew any more of my hollow 9 patches, my box kite blocks, any of my other block projects that I've been wanting to do. So it's just taking too much time away from the other projects that I want to do. And so it just needs to get done. Needs to get that final push and move on. So if you're just joining me, I'm glad to have you here today. It's well, it was raining earlier. I went out, I took a couple pictures of my garden. Today is August 1st, so I wanted to do my monthly marker. Among some other things that I need to do when I start the month. So here are a couple things that I do at the start of every month. I usually give my machine a nice little clean out. I'll use one of these little applicators. Here's the box that it comes in. I'll use one of these little kind of guys and I'll clean out the dust in my machine. I'll put in a new needle in the machine. Sometimes I put a new blade in my rotary cutters. I try to have the date on all my rotary cutters. This one I did not put a date on, but I don't use it that often, so I probably won't change the blade on this one. But I try to do some little monthly maintenance kind of things like that at the start of every month. I also keep track of look at my list of projects. And that's why I could tell you that this one was taking too much time. When I was looking at everything yesterday and realizing how long I'd been working on this and that I hadn't made progress on some of my other projects, that's what I decided to put this one into high gear and get it done. So I did get some other good little things done, which I'll talk about a little bit. Oh, I didn't bring did I bring my banner over? I don't know that I brought that over. So I look at my projects that I've been working on every month, and I keep a list in my planner. Does anyone else like to do that? Do you keep tabs on things every month, or are you maybe looking at dates that are coming up and thinking that you need to get something done by a certain date? What triggers your list for how you decide what to work on? I guess that's what I'm asking. So I have a couple projects coming up in the fall. I have a couple of quilts that I'm going to be quilting. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. 3 right now that I need to get quilted. Plus this one will make 4. And that's probably about as much as I want to try to get done quilting on the long arm in a month. If I do one a week, that's usually enough. Enough to kind of keep things moving along. So I did do some little bit of checking out my list and what I want to get done in August. Let's see, getting down to the end. These match up pretty well. pull this out from the machine and let you see it a little better. So when I posted that I was going to be doing a live stream today, I don't know if you saw that post. I do try to post it on my YouTube channel when I'm going to be live, and I also will post it on Instagram, Facebook. So I try to post it in a couple different places so that you know when I'm going to be around. And when I posted, I thought I was going to be working on my string quilt. Well, guess what? That top is done. So that's when I was looking around to see what else I wanted to get done. And this is the one that I decided to work on today. So let me get this out from under the machine. So I just pulled off this many extras from this, and it will be my leader ender, and I will just sew these. I have a leader ender for my leader ender. That's the way that goes. And then when I stand up, you can see my t-shirt better. T-shirt I chose to wear. It's awful fun. I love going to quilt shows and seeing all the t-shirts that people wear. They're so fun. They're so cute. Okay. So let me stand up and give you a better view of this one. Move my chair out of the way a little bit. Can you see it now? You can see how long it is? So see, it covers me. It's taller than I am. So it will definitely cover somebody on a couch. 78 inches. And if I think I need to, then I will add a border, but I'm not inclined to add a border. So before I start another column on that, I want to show you my string quilt. And I need opinions. So hopefully you can give me opinions. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do, but let's see what you all think. So this is my string quilt, and I have it right here. I'm going to hold it up so you can see. Get that out of the way. Can you see? So, my question. So what's the first thought that popped into your head when you saw that? When you see this? So I put all the blocks together, and I was thinking that it would look really cute with a white border on it. And now I'm thinking no white border. So if you want to voice your opinion, vote for whether you think I should have a border or not have a border, let me know. Put that in the comments, especially if you're watching today. If you are watching it at some other time, this quilt is probably going to go on the long arm in the next week or so. So it will probably be done if you're watching it much later than that. So I think I'm going to take off the border and just have it. Maybe I could do a wide binding so that, but again, I wouldn't usually use a white binding. So I'm thinking I'm going to take this off. These are 3.5-inch strips. They can be very useful for something else. But I think somehow when I had it laying out on the long arm, it just didn't look like what I was thinking it was going to add something, but I don't think it does. So, and I don't need the extra length or width. These are 16-inch finished string blocks done on the diagonal. I did a funny little tutorial about how I did that. Left the mistake and all in it. So if you want to have a good little chuckle, you can go over and you can find, thank you, Anna and Jane. Yeah, no border. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But keep voting, people. Keep telling me what you think. And if you think it needs the border, maybe help me see why I would need it. Because I'm not in my head. It's like I said, it's not working for me. So I showed you how I made these on the diagonal, and I still use that same method, even though I made a mistake that one time and I had to fix it. I really like these blocks. Each one would take me about an hour from start to finish, in case you're wondering. I lay out all of my strips ahead of time. I did a pretty good job. I'm looking to see if I have my tote with my leftover strings. I really used up a good amount of my 30s strings. I still have plenty of 30s fabrics. I wasn't really worried about using up that whole drawer. I have one drawer of, let's see, it has 30s fabrics, and it has like a line of patriotic fabrics in it that I had bought like a year ago. So that's not that much to have a drawer with that much 30s, I don't think. But I had a lot of scraps in there, and I used up, I'd say at least 75-80% of those scraps. So then I was going to use those scraps to make a vintage kite block. Oh, hi, Becky. How are you? Glad to hear from you. Anybody else just joining in? We are debating about whether I should have a white border on this string quilt or not. If you need me to hold it up again, just put that in the comments to hold up the quilt again, and I'd be happy to do it. Or if you missed anything else, just tell me, just ask me a question to kind of get you up to date. So, and then this is the project that I'm sewing today. I am sewing these columns together. So if you're just joining me, I talked about how I was sewing those columns, and I am sick and tired of this project. So we're going into the assembly stage of it, just so we can get it done. But I really like doing the string blocks, and I didn't, here we go. Let me go grab this. I thought I had that over there. Oh, did you see my t-shirt? I didn't show you my t-shirt. It says it's all fun and games until the bobbin runs out. Sound familiar? No bobbin chicken here. Oh, okay. Let's see. All right, I will hold it up. So, does it need a white border? And I think the only does that help, Becky? Did you see that? The only reason it would need a white border, I think, is if I was going to put another border around it. I did that with my red and white quilt. I did a white, and maybe that's why I was thinking, oh, white border would work. But in that case, I put another border around it, and I don't think I'm going to put another border around this one. So, okay, so no, I don't need to make this quilt bigger. It is, let's see, 16-inch blocks. And where's my note here? I made 30 blocks, and right now the top is 80 by 96. So 80 by 96 to me is big enough for a queen size quilt. As a matter of fact, I did take a picture of it on my bed. If I hold up, let's see. If I hold up this picture, will you all be able to see that? So that's what it looks like on my bed. It is, I mean, you can't see how much it hangs down on the sides. Did I do that? Yeah. So it hangs down about 8 inches on the sides, 8 to 10 inches. So I know it'll shrink up a little bit, but it does fit the bed pretty well. Good morning. Hi, Denise. Glad you are here. Thanks for joining us. And I don't have a binding picked out for this string quilt yet. I might have a backing. As you can see, I have a ton of fabric on bolts behind me. And the short story of that is that I used to have a shop, and when I closed my shop, I brought all my fabric home, right? So I have lots and lots of fabric to choose from. And so for a backing on the string quilt, I was thinking I would like to have it look like a vintage sheet. And I thought about going out to try to buy a vintage sheet because I've never done that. I've never used a sheet as a backing. And I thought, oh, that'd be a good thing to try. You know, this isn't like some precious heirloom quilt. It'd be fun to try using something that I hadn't done before. But then I found this one in my stash. And if you are a fan of orange, you might like it. If you are not a fan of orange, I can see you wrinkling your nose already. But I do like orange, and this has orange and pink and green in it. It is a Annabelle Wrigley fabric from her line called Posy. And I think it has kind of a vintagey feel. And there's quite a bit of like warm colors in here. I didn't specifically set out for it to have those tones. So first I'll pick a backing, and then after it's quilted, I will find a binding for it. I rarely will pick out a binding before that. I never have my binding made ahead of time. I just kind of go through one step at a time and make each decision on its own. I used to marvel at how someone could come into the shop and they'd buy the fabric for the top, and they would go ahead and they'd buy backing and the binding and everything all at once, which seems to be a really smart thing to do, but I could never do that. I couldn't make those decisions ahead of time. So I haven't made any of the decisions. So let's see. Yeah, I think I could do just about anything for the back. My other thought was I have some solids, and do I have them out? Yeah, I have like a apricot color and that looked pretty nice too. So I could do a solid, like a little bit paler color. And so I could do that. But right now I'm leaning towards using that Annabelle Wrigley print. It has a lot of yardage on it. And so I think this might be a good place to use it. So we'll see. We'll see. I haven't measured it off yet, but I'm pretty sure it would have enough. So anyway, the leftovers for my 30s fabrics. This is my tray that I pulled, and I stacked some of the leftovers that I thought I might use in the next project. And the next project, what did I do with those papers? The next project is it's a vintage kite by Lori Holt. And when you get the papers on the pad, a pad of papers, it comes with, let me get something so I can kind of hold this up a little better. Hold on. Hold on. So, if you haven't seen these papers before, I actually have a video that I'm going to publish just in a couple of days. It's almost ready to go. All right, so when you buy the pad of papers, each sheet looks like that. And you cut it apart, okay? You cut it apart, and then you sew according to the 1, 2, 3. You sew all your pieces on. And then if I sew this together, which I haven't done yet, obviously, you get this cute little kite shape. Now, the thing is that for these particular ones, I decided that I needed to make a few more before I sewed them together, because this one's a little bit busy for me. And I want to make a few more of these pieces so that I can, switch some other ones around and get a little bit nicer arrangement. So I'm not ready to sew these together yet. And then there's something else that I talk about in the video. And like I said, I think it'll come out on Monday, my experience with working with these. But I have this whole stack of 30s. And I did have them at one point divided into light and dark in order to make some more of these. And I only wanted to make enough to do a pillow. So I have to make 9 times 4. I need to make 36 of these units in order to make my pillow cover. So that's a short little, hopefully a little project I'll get to in August. It is August. Happy August, everybody. So that's one of the things on my list to work on in this coming month. So leftovers. And I just thought I would keep using those until I use up a little bit more of them. So so for the backing, I could do a vintage sheet, but like I said, I'm leaning towards just using what I have. I think the opportunities to use a print like this may be kind of small. And so sometimes I just take the chance. I mean, when I have that chance to use it, I do, because what am I saving it for? I don't want to keep, I don't want this print to stick around for another 5 years before I find another use for it, because I don't sew with 30s all the time. So it may be a while before I make a quilt that would suit it. So I'm okay to use that. I'm also okay to use a solid that I haven't used for a while. So yeah, I just like to keep trying to use those. Now, I did buy a backing at the one-stop shop hop. Had to think about the name of that. So there is a shop hop that happens once a year, and I went to that last weekend or the weekend before, 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. And I bought a backing for a quilt, the last quilt that I had on the long arm. And so that's what I like to do. If I'm going to buy a backing, it's for a specific project that I'm going to be getting on the long arm right away. So those don't stick around for very long. So I will probably take the white border off, but I'll wait to see if a few more votes come in for what I should do with the border on that string quilt. Let's see. So how was July for you? Did you get a lot done? Did you travel? Was there sewing time? Not much sewing time? I think my sewing time has definitely been more limited in July. My mom has come back to live with us again. It's our turn to have her here for a few weeks. So when she's here, I'm spending several hours a day with her. And so I'm not down in my sewing room nearly as much. So I did not get quite that much done, but I will show you a couple things. I showed you the sample of that vintage kite. I got that worked on. And where's my little banner? Let me come over here and see where my little banner is. Good. And I also found, okay, so this is the finished vintage kite block. And these are the papers. So I had those all in my stack, but underneath. So this is, and then this is what they look like when you open it up. And you get 42 pages like this. So this was part of my Make It Happen Monday. So I've been doing really well at my Make It Happen Mondays, and I put up an update every couple of weeks on the projects that I've been working on for that. So you can always go back through my playlist and and see. They're always a shorter video, like only maybe 5 or 6 minutes long. And then I tell you about these. So I did make this. I did decide what I wanted to make with this. And so that was nice. That little project, I worked on that for a day. And then I also made my little banner. And this was a kit that I put a couple of little labels at the back. So this was a kit that I bought during the shop hop last year, not the one that I went to last weekend. This I bought at the all Indiana shop hop, where you had to travel around to all the stores. And the store where I bought this one, I think, was up in this area. I think it was up in the northwestern area of the state. So I bought this cute little kit and got that made. So that was a really fun thing to work on. I actually think I'd like to make another one. So I got that done in July. And I finished the flannel quilt. So so before I show you that one, I will tell you that about the color of the month. So the color of the month for the Rainbow Scrap Challenge was aqua. And I barely did anything with aqua. I think I made 6 blocks for, was it my hollow nines or I think it was hollow nines. And I made a couple of tiny houses, which I didn't bring over. So I really, unless the aqua fabrics were 30s and went into my string quilt, I didn't really specifically do anything with aqua, which was a little disappointing. But the color of the month for August is yellow. And I brought my yellow scrap bag over. So here's my yellow scrap bag. Oh, look, see, no yellow. Things get mixed up, right? This is not only perfectly yellow. I see a little piece of pink in here too, and some orange. But it is what it is. And I weighed it this morning for fun. I weighed my scrap bag. And it weighs 1 pound, 1.6 ounces. So I decided that hopefully in August I will do a little bit better job. And I will hopefully get some yellow something made. Put some of this cut up into blocks. And I'll weigh it at the end of the month and see how I do. I think that'll be fun. Maybe it'll help. It'll keep reminding me that I need to use these. And most of these pieces are pretty small. So I'll see if I can, I'll see if I can even use them for something. So hopefully, yeah, I'll do better with yellow. So let me get out the other one that I wanted to show you that I finished in July. And when I show it to you, what I want to tell you is the name of it in the book. Do you need to see the book for it? I can go grab the book really quick. Hold on. I'm coming. Oh, shoot, it's not this one either, is it? Let me see. I thought it was it's in a Kathy Doty book. I hope I grabbed the right one. Oh, maybe I didn't. Oh, shoot. All right. Well, it's in one of her books. Oh, no. I thought I saw it right over there. My bookshelf is right there in front of me. So it's in a Kathy Doty book. I thought it was called Material Obsession, not adding layers. And she called it soul searching, not the soul of a foot, but the soul in your heart, soul searching. And I'd like to have a different name for mine because mine doesn't really reflect soul searching. It's a flannel quilt with strips, and they're all 2.5-inch strips. So when I hold that up, see if there's another name, because I don't really like calling it soul searching. I'd like to call it something else. So let me get that. It's big too. I make big quilts. I can't help it. So there's a section of it that I can kind of hold up pretty close. All right. And there's 9 of these. Okay, so this is the backing that I bought for it. And see, nobody has seen this yet. You guys are the first ones to see this finished. This is my latest one. I just finished the binding on it this past week. Give it one more toss and see if I can get this edge to come out. Let's see. Is that a little better? So there's 9 of these diamonds. Can you see that? And I'll bring it up a little closer again. So that is one block. Okay, that's one block. In case you want to screenshot that. There, is that better? I'll try to hold it as straight as I can. And I'm really happy with it. I really like it. It's all flannel. It is very warm. I guess it's kind of weird because the first time in quite a while, I'm really working way ahead. So I got a flannel quilt done in July. I have 2 Halloween table runners that I'll hopefully be quilting in August. So I haven't started anything for Christmas, but I'm really kind of working ahead on the seasons, aren't I? But then the string quilt is it's kind of springy, but it kind of has a little bit of a fall feel to it also. I'm not sure like what time of year I'll feel like getting it out once it's all done. But it might be at the end of the winter when I need a pop of color and we're kind of feeling like winter is dragging on. It might be a nice little boost then. But if you have any ideas for a name for that flannel quilt with all those strips, I'm terrible at naming things. I'm really not good at naming things. So when I put it in my notes, I still keep calling it soul searching. Or I'll call it my flannel strippy quilt, or flannel diamonds. Thanks, Jane. I like it too. I like it. Yeah. So Becky, are you saying I should call it warm vibes, or are you just saying it does have warm vibes? Either way. Yep. So I need a name for that one. Did I sign that one? Hold on. I think I signed it on the bottom. I'm pretty sure I signed it. I did put see, I didn't show you that part. See, I put a little label, this little label on it that says one of a kind. I like those little labels. I think those are fun. So I did add a label. And I'm pretty sure I signed it. What I should have done is I should have put that little label right where I signed it. But I didn't think of that. I just put it in wherever I started my binding so that I wouldn't forget to do it. And now I think my signature. Yep. Okay. So I sign it while it's on the long arm, and I use my long arm to just basically put my name in script on there and the year. So that's all it says is Stephanie 2026. And most of the time it blends in completely. I don't think you can even see that. But it's there. And for a pattern, I love the pattern that I did on here. It's Jane, it's the same one I used on your quilt. This is Arcadia. It's a feather design, and I think it shows up really well, especially in the light sections. Can you see that? And I did, I knew I would use that one again. Oh. K Money Quilting. I wish you were getting a chance to sew too. Yeah. We don't want to be stuck where we have to be sometimes. That's the way it is sometimes, isn't it? So yeah, I could call it warm vibes. Or yeah, cozy, yeah. So keep thinking about it, everybody. I need to come up with a name for that flannel one. And I do think I have a better picture in here. And if it shows up, let's see if it shows up. Maybe not. I really thought I had taken a picture of that quilt. Oh, here it is. Here it is. So, can you see the texture that quilting gives on that flannel quilt? I think it's fabulous. And I think for me, the feathers feathers are a nice complement to all of the straight lines in the quilting. So I really like that for a choice. I think I should get another one of these out. So if you are just joining me, this is what I'm sewing on today. I am sewing these columns together. And so let me just grab another one. And let's get some of this going. I don't want to forget that I would like to get a few of these sewn today. What's kind of fun is I do get to have fun looking at some of these prints as they show up. I used all different colors. I have a couple other things I want to show you too about, especially with going back to talking about the yellow scraps for the color of the month. I brought over, or here next to my machine, I brought over a couple of my past quilts I've done with the Rainbow Scrap Challenge. If you haven't heard of that, I'm sure there are many people who do something similar to a Rainbow Scrap Challenge. So basically each month she tells us what color scraps to use. And so through the whole year, you will eventually get to use all your red, your blue, your green. Your last month was aqua. This month is yellow. She said she already let it slip. She said September is going to be purple. So I don't have very much in the way of purple, but anyway, so each month she chooses a different color, and that's the color that we're supposed to work with. The fun part to me is also seeing how everybody else uses their scraps. And so what happened to my, sorry, it fell on the floor. Hold on, I need my seam ripper. There we go. It's just really fun to see what blocks everybody is making for their to use up their scraps. And so this is all on a blog called, if you type in So Scrappy, all one word, S-O, not S-E-W, S-O-S-C-R-A-P-P-Y. And so she is the one who hosts a, what's it called? A blog party? Something like that, where you can link up and share your projects, share your blog post. So I've been doing that a couple times a month. I have not done my blog post for today yet because I've been doing this. So let's see. Okay, the size of the rectangles. Is it these rectangles you're talking about? These little rectangles are 1.5 by 2.5 cut, and the squares are 2.5 inch cut. And so when you have leftovers of jelly rolls, you can use those to cut these little pieces from your scraps. So, but if it was something else, if that's not the right project, then tell me which one you mean. So I've been cutting these forever. And, move along and maybe put them away for a while once I get this project done. I don't think I want to look at 1.5 by 2.5 inch little strips anymore for a while. So we'll see. See what happens with that. So that's what happens when your leader ender becomes your main project, your main focus. And there are a couple other things that I want to start, but I've been trying not to work on too many things at once. So with the flannel quilt being done, by the way, that flannel quilt, my Cozy Vibes quilt, I started that in 2015 is what my notes show. So I had gotten the book. I had started cutting strips for it and made a sample block, and never really got around to doing much else until just a few months ago. And so that one was taking up space for a really, really long time. My string quilt, I only just started that in March. So the string quilt was a new start this year. This one, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I don't have my notes, or do I? Do I have my notes here? Okay, I started this one in October of 2024. So if you look on Cheryl Arkeson's, probably her Instagram page, if you scroll back through her posts, or on her blog, I'll have to look and see if I can find it. If I can find where I first saw her showing this project, I'll put a link in the description box below. But I saw what she was doing and started one shortly after I had seen it, because I thought it'd be a really good way to use scraps. And it kind of is. I mean, it used a ton of neutrals. That's 1,000, probably close to 1,000 2.5-inch squares, and about that many of these little 1.5 by 2.5-inch rectangles. That's my guess. I haven't really counted it up yet. I do keep track of the pieces. When I finish a quilt, I do try to make note of either who I gave it to, how many pieces were in it, the size, the pattern name, and stuff like that. Does anybody else do that? Do you keep track of your finished quilts? I wish I had kept better track early on. So if you are a newer quilter, or you still remember your first few quilts, I think you might really like to have some of that, as much information written down about it as possible. That's why I've kind of gone to this notebook system, so that I can keep all of the information written down more all in one place. And so on my front page, it shows you what page number the quilt information is on. And if it's highlighted, that means it's done. And they're not all necessarily meant to get done. They are also just notes for things that maybe I would like to make, or things that I saw. And so, like I said, this doesn't all have to be checked off, but that is one of my notebooks for keeping track of my projects. I have a spreadsheet too that I use differently. So beginning of the month, this is when I usually update all of those things and keep track of things. So I'll be doing that a little bit later today. I guess it just kind of helps me to stay focused and appreciate what I have been able to get done, because if I didn't do that, I would think I got nothing done in July at all. But I got that flannel quilt done. I mean, that's a pretty big deal for me to get that big one done after it had been going on for so long. I got all the string blocks made. I got that top done. That's a pretty big deal. Got the little mini Indiana state outline, that one done. Started and finished in this month, so that's pretty good. And one more, actually, and I have a couple other things too to share with you still. I guess I better keep making my way. All right, I'm going to finish this column and then I will. And does anybody need to see me actually sew this? I don't have the camera angled so that you can see it, but if you, I guess I could do that for a little while. Let me just angle this down. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I've not made a scrapbook with pictures. I guess they are all in my camera roll. I could do a better job of taking the pictures out of my camera roll and putting them into a folder. I really should work on that. Maybe put that as one of my monthly tasks to put all those pictures, photographs in my camera roll into their folder so that they're easier to find. At least that would be a kind of a scrapbook and a digital scrapbook for them. So that's a good idea. That is, for sure. I like that. Be something I could get done. Okay, so I'm going to angle this down just a little bit more and see if you can see what I'm doing, if that's of interest. I'll just do it for the rest of this row. So I'm pressing, my seams are going, oh yeah, you really can't see, can you? I'm pushing my seams towards the print, and it is this seam is nesting with the seam underneath it here. This red is nesting with the green. And so as I'm holding it in place with my seam ripper, and then the next one to match up, I'm making sure that they're pressed, is this purple is getting matched to this blue. So I'm not pinning, because pinning is, I think, part of what made me not want to put this together. I kept looking at having to do those millions of pins, and I was not looking forward to that. So I'm cheating it. I'm just not doing it. I'm using the nesting seams are working pretty well and holding these in place. Nesting is doing a good enough job for me. So I just sew up to the next one and then put the hold the next one in place. So when I'm not talking and doing it, each column only takes about 10 minutes to add. And I'll press them later. Usually I'll press it as I go, but today I'll press them later. So I'm just pushing the seams towards the print. Just got a couple more to go. And then I want to talk about the Rainbow Scrap Challenge a little bit more, because I did, like I said, I brought down here 2 of my other quilts from my Rainbow Scrap Challenge, which if you've been watching my channel at all, you may recognize them, because I have had them both on there before. So when I get down to the end of my column, I don't need to count how many are in a column anymore. I know that all of these columns I made extra long, and so I'm just going to remove the ones that I don't need. And this little seam ripper it's kind of cool. Is this sew line? I forget who I got this. This is called Seam Fix. Let me push this back up again. So this is called a Seam Fix seam ripper, and this is a rubberized tip, and it helps to brush away all the extra threads after you have picked something apart. Okay. And I'm back stitching at the end of these columns. And then I'll take this leftover piece and I will add it to some other leftover pieces. And let's see, which end do I want this on? I'll put it on this end. And I'll end up with a couple more columns. And I'm guessing that when I get done with making this a lap size, I bet I'm still going to have enough for that table runner that I originally thought I was going to do. Because as I said in the beginning, at one point, this was just going to be a table runner. So it's kind of a little bigger than a table runner now. So, all right, whoops, almost lost all my yellow scraps. All right. So one of my first Rainbow Scrap Challenge quilts, maybe not quite 10 years ago. I'm trying to remember when I made this one. I think this one has been a favorite. When I posted this one, this is the one that's probably my cover picture. I love how this one turned out. So I did a kind of a color wash on. I'll just keep kind of trying to show. So each month I made a bunch of 9 patches or actually, sorry, the block is, I'm pretty sure, let's see. The block is the 9 patch plus the next round, okay? And here's, let's get one that has a little more color, a little more contrast. Whenever I try to figure out a pattern that I'm looking at, I always look at the corner of the quilt so I can see where it starts and ends. So the block, I believe, is this from here to here. So it starts with a 9 patch. Or actually, I'm sorry, it started with 4 patches. And then you have a center plus sign with, this is 2.5 by 4.5 and a 2.5 inch. I think these are 2.5 inch. So these are all one piece. And it is an Irish chain pattern from Melissa Corey, and I'm trying to think of the name of her website. I'll put it in the description box. So this one was super fun to make. And so every month I just cut a whole bunch of squares of the color of the month and got out my neutrals. And so it didn't really matter how many blocks I made that month. I just made as many as I could. And then I just, when I laid them out, I worked with what I had. So I wasn't trying to necessarily get the colors to be equal. Maybe I'm going to hold it up one more time, but I'm going to take a few steps back. And again, they're all so big, it's hard for me to hold them by myself. And that's about the best I can do. And then the other one that I made is this log cabin. So I made a curved log cabin quilt. Now this one took me a while. It wasn't hard to make the blocks, but it took me forever to figure out what to do with the blocks, how I wanted to arrange them once I made them. So that was my sticking point for this one. And so this was the second Rainbow Scrap Challenge quilt that I made. And it's your basic curved log cabin. There's lots of free patterns for that out there. So that's what I decided to do with these. So this orange one is in the center, like a flower petal. And then the colors radiate out from there. And I will try to figure out a way to hang these better for you so that you can see them a little better. I'm I'm sure it's pretty hard to see just from me holding it up like that. So I'll see if I can get some kind of a quilt holder. So when I'm doing my regular videos, I can hang them on those bolt shelves that you see behind me, and I have clips to hang them on. But I don't think you would be able to see that from where I'm sitting. So that's a little too far away to have you get a good view of that. But I'll work on it. I'll try to figure out something for next time so that I can hang them up and let you get a better look at those. So curved log cabin, yeah. Thanks, Rebecca. I like the that's the second curved log cabin quilt that I've made. I gave away the first one and I really liked it. It's a good thing I really love the person that I gave it to. So I don't mind that I gave it away. But after I did that, I always thought in the back of my mind, I was like, I always wanted to make another one. And the first one that I made was a totally different layout. And that's why I'm saying, oh, it's a good thing that somewhere in my camera roll archives, I know I have a picture of it. But it was a more traditional log cabin layout. I think it was a barn raising where the colors went around and around in concentric design. So I did end up doing something different for this one. And it was a little tricky because of the different colors. So sometimes having it with rainbow colors in the blocks makes it a little bit harder to figure out. So I do think that gives it a different, poses a little bit different problem when you are laying out those blocks. Jane, didn't you do, if you're still there, I think you did a color wash quilt recently as well? And I think I remember you saying that there was a little bit of it was a little bit tricky to get the colors arranged the way you wanted to get them arranged. So have you ever done a rainbow or a scrappy quilt with all the colors in it? And how did it go for you? Were you, was it tricky to lay out? Am I just thinking it was my problem that I had trouble laying it out when really it shouldn't have been that hard? And I shouldn't say hard, not hard really, just tricky. So those are a couple of my previous rainbow scrap challenge quilts. And I mean, I guess you could say that this one is going to be a rainbow, but it wasn't specifically made for the rainbow scrap challenge. So if you're sitting there going, well, what are you working on this year? I guess I did not bring those over to me over towards my sewing table today. But they are some of the blocks that I've been working on in between these other projects. I guess they're not that far away. They're not that far away at all. So one of my Rainbow Challenge scrap projects is this Hollow Nines. So right on top are the ones that I made in aquas for July. So I have all of my center squares cut, and all of the centers are white, and the rest of them are everything is cut 2.5-inch squares. So these are the ones that I made for July. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know they're not really aqua, are they? We'll get into a little bit more aqua here. 6, 7. I kind of had a lot of my aqua scraps in with my darker scraps. So as long as I was cutting and making, I just made a few in the little bit darker. So sometimes I use a lot of contrast like that. And sometimes I am not using a lot of contrast like that. And a couple more blue ones. And like that. So when I cut up the aqua squares, I was just trying to use them all up. So I just found other things to either cut up and put with it. So when I started it, I kind of worked backwards. I did some of the earlier colors. And then I just wanted to have a few, at least a couple of every color. So I've already made a couple of purples. I've made a couple of yellows. I've made some oranges and some pinks. So I have them pinned by groups of 10. So right now I have, let's see, 10, 20, 30, and I think this was 10 plus another 10 plus 1 maybe. So I've got about 40 some odd of these blocks made, and I need 99 in order to make kind of a smallish lap size quilt. So that's one of my current Rainbow Scrap Challenge projects. Because 2.5-inch squares seemed like a good place to start. I don't know if I'm going to sash these or not. That's all yet to be determined, what kind of a layout I want. We'll see. I'm not there yet. I'm just making the blocks. So I think that's the main one. I do have some box kite blocks, but those don't necessarily follow the Rainbow Scrap Challenge. And I'm looking at all of my rolling carts here. Yeah, I think doing the color wash does require a lot of thought in order to kind of get those balanced. I started one by T Rose Studios, Terry Rowland of T Rose Studios. Her little blocks are 3.5 inches, and I have a pile of those. I wonder if I could find those. Hold on. I might be able to. Aha. So see, got it. Got my container all labeled here. It was right on top, but I haven't made any because I've been so consumed working on this stinking thing. So I'm going to get it done so I can get back to working on these cute little things. So these are 3.5 inches. And so this color wash one will probably, as Jane said, it'll take a lot of thought to get these arranged. So I have a green pile, and I've been keeping track of how many are in each pile. So these haven't been officially counted yet and put into their pile. So I'll just hold that up. So yellows, purples, blues, orange, red, pink, the warm colors. And she gives, if you like that idea, it does take like a it always surprises me how much fabric it takes to go around a center square. But she's got directions on her website, blog. If I can find it, I will put I'll put a link down in the description box for how she tells you to make these. And I did take some notes for it. So I have no idea yet right now how many. I'd have to look at my notes to see how many of these I have. But I don't think I've added many lately. And they are so cool when you see them. So, Becky, don't worry about interrupting. Go ahead and ask any questions you want. Yeah, when I was, okay, so my bedroom closet has more quilts than clothing in it. How's that? I use there's some built-in shelves, and I use the built-in shelves for all the bed quilts. Especially my Bonnie Hunter mystery quilts go up there. All of like the Christmas quilts that go on the beds, all of those I store up in the bedroom closet. And those are the ones that primarily I'm never giving away. Then I have a great big, it's a Chinese wedding cabinet is what the name of the piece of furniture is. And so it's a huge cabinet, and those contain all of the quilts that I am willing to give away. So when I finish something, I may use it or hang on to it for a while, and then I might end up putting it into that wedding cabinet. It's full now, and so I may start looking for or thinking about who I'm going to give some of those to. And then I have a third cabinet in the living room that has primarily lap quilts, the ones that I put on the couches and the ones that, get used in the downstairs. I have if you can see, let's see, there we go. I have a ladder in my space down here. I have a few quilts on that ladder, and then I have a couple that I haven't put away that are up on that little table. I'm thinking that at some point I may end up having to put some up on top of my shelves up here. There's lots of room if I lay down a piece of cloth on top of those shelves, because all my cabinets, the ones that I'm telling you where I have them stored, the quilts all have like a pillow. There's a pillowcase, an old pillowcase lining the shelves, and on the very top quilt, there are pillowcases there that kind of hang down the sides, so that there's hopefully very little contact between the quilt and the wood, because I understand that that's not good for fabric to have the fabric touching the wood. So they're somewhat protected, and hopefully by using them and taking them in and out, they will be like refolded, used for a while, and put back in a different place. And so hopefully there's enough going on where they won't get damaged by being in the wood. And like I said, when that cabinet is full as it is now, oh, I have one I'm going to show you next. And that's actually one from the cabinet that I took out this week and washed it because I know who it's going to now. And so I'll be giving that one away next weekend. So I figured I better show it to you before I give it away. I also gave one away. What's today? Saturday. Thursday, I also gave a baby quilt away. So it never made it into that cabinet because I gave it away right away. So I do try to keep things from piling up, and that's what I do with my finished quilts. So thanks for asking. Right now, the quilts are probably not going into donated organizations right now. They are going to people that I know. Mostly. So let me get out that next quilt and show you that. So years and years ago, I made an I Spy quilt. And again, this is really big. It was fun. It was one of my earlier quilts. And so I will give you kind of an up close, and then I'll step back and show you the whole thing. So you can see what the block is. The block has one big square, okay? And then it has these smaller rectangles of all I Spy fabrics, and then a square in the corner. Actually, I think it's a square, and you could do as many pieces or parts as you want to. So if this is 6.5 inches, which I'm pretty sure it is, this main square is 6.5, then you could put 3.5 inch squares, at least in like 2 or 3 places. And then you fill in with these 1.5s. Maybe they're cut too. It was a pattern. Ancient, long ago, I think. I'm not sure if I could find it again. But maybe that will give you enough information. And the backing on it, before I step away, the backing on it is this cute little bicycle print. I think that's really fun for kids. So this one is also kind of a color wash, where I put the lighter blocks up at the top and the darker blocks going down towards the bottom. So another big quilt. So that one is going to my nephew's little boy, and I will see them next weekend. And he has already gotten a baby quilt from me, but I understand from my sister-in-law, his grandma, that he loves I Spy. And so one of the quilts that I gave to her has it was a mystery quilt, but it had some fabrics in it with little images in it, like butterflies. And this one has This one has Dorothy's red shoes in it. This one has fish, little fish. So a lot of my fabrics have little images like that. And she said that her grandson loves looking at that quilt and he sleeps on it for his nap time. And then as he's waking up, he's rolling around on the quilt and he's looking at and pointing to all of the little pictures in it. And so I asked her if she would like to have an I Spy quilt because I knew I had this one. So this one is going to him. And what I'm hoping is that if he outgrows it and no longer interested in I Spy, that they will give it to the next grandchild or grandbaby that comes along, and let the other kids enjoy it at grandma's house. So anyway, so I'm going to see them next weekend and gift that. And that quilt has been made and been sitting in my cabinet for probably 15 years because it was a UFO from my very early sewing days. And it was supposed to be for my kids and their cousins. That's how old it is. But it never got finished because it was, I think maybe too difficult for me at the time. I don't know. So by the time I finished it, all the kids were a little too old for it. So it's been waiting patiently for the next generation, and the next generation is here. And we've got one little one that I know is going to just have so much fun with it. So I gave it a wash, and I'll wrap it up and bring it. So, and on this one, okay, washing is a whole nother topic, washing quilts. I put in just a gentle detergent sheet and 4 color catchers. And it came out perfectly. I had no problem with it. You can see that the back of it is still a nice clean print on the white fabric. And so luckily no problem. If I did have a problem with it, I would have put it back in for another rinse with more color catchers. If that didn't fix it, then I would put it into a bathtub and I would have soaked it for hours, like probably 2 or 3 days worth of soaking, and changing the water until the stains were gone. I have had to do that in the past, and it did take a couple of days. It was never perfect, but it was better. I was not able to completely remove all of the discoloration. So that was a bit disappointing. It just looked like a quilt that had been used and was worn more than a brand new quilt. So yes, I have had a problem before. But most of the time not. So I'm pleased that this one came through. So remember last time I showed you the shattered quilt. So that was a whole nother issue, right? So I have it right here. I haven't done anything with it yet. So this is a quilt that I made for my son about, what did I figure out? 10 years ago? 8 years ago? I forget already. And when I went out to see him last month, he showed me this quilt and was asking me what he should do about it. He said he wanted to wash it, but he didn't know how to wash it. Come to find out, I understand why he didn't know how to wash it, because the fabric had started shattering. So I'll show you again. Do you see these spots right here? This is the fabric actually disintegrating. Here's another spot. This one's even easier to see. Right. There. Can you see that right there? Get the good angle on it there. That is shattering. And that's the batting that you're seeing right here. That's the batting coming through. So I have a new backing made for it. And the plan is that I am going to treat this whole thing as a new top. I'm not taking this backing off. And somebody last time had suggested this, so I am going to do it the way she suggested. I could put it on my long arm and re-quilt it, but it already has a lot of quilting in it. And I don't want these to become like permanent wrinkles in the quilt. So I am going to baste it and I'm going to tie it. I'm going to put the new backing on and tie it in place to the old quilt. And I just haven't done it yet. So, but it is in the queue to get work done. And maybe this month, because I'm not going to go back. I don't have another trip planned out to see him for a while. So, but I'll have it done by the next time we go out to see him. So, that's a whole nother issue with washing quilts. And that was one I really did not expect. Okay, so we have a few more minutes left. So I want to make sure, let's see, I can tell you a little bit about my plans for August. I already told you that the new color of the month for working on my scraps is yellow. And I have that one that I just showed you that I want to tie, that quilt that I want to repair. I want to get that one done in August, hopefully. I want to get this one done, all the way quilted and bound done. And I have my Halloween table runners that I want to, I might as well go ahead and quilt those up and get those done. My string quilt, once I get I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the borders off unless some more people tell me not to remove those borders. It looks like I had more votes for taking the borders off than to leave them on. So I'll get that one done. And the other thing that if I could, so this year I wanted to try to make some of the kits that I have. I have a bunch of kits. I forget what my count of kits that I've purchased. But they're the ones, the pretty ones that come in the boxes. I have a couple of those. And then I have some that were made, purchased in shops and have all bagged up and, pattern and everything. So those are the kits that I'm talking about. I purchased it as a kit. It's not something that I kitted up myself. So I want to choose the next kit that I make. The last one that I made, I finished at the end of June, or 1st of July, when we came back from our vacation. It was my succulent garden quilt kit. So I'd like to pick out the next one and get working on it. So that would be a goal, because if I could get 3 or 4 of those kits made this year, that would be really, really nice, because I bought them because I wanted to make them, not because I wanted them to sit on my shelf and be a shelf queen. So I want to get those out and enjoy working on those. So hopefully by the next time we meet up in September, the next live stream will be September 5th. It's the first Saturday in September. Same time from 10 to noon. And hopefully by then I will have all of these finishes to show you from the ones I just told you about. And maybe I will have chosen a kit to work on. I don't even have a short list yet, or I'd show you. Should I do this one or this one? I haven't looked yet. So I need to take a look and see what I might have time for. And my mom will be here with us for the whole month of August. So again, that kind of limits my my sewing time a little bit. I thought maybe she would come down and visit me. I told her she could come down and visit and say hi to everybody. But she didn't do that. So she must have gone out for a walk with my husband, done something like that, or who knows what they were up to. I don't think they went to the farmer's market today. It was raining after all, although it looks like it might have cleared up a bit. So I don't think they did that. But anyway, maybe I'll get her to come down and say hi next time. So those are some of the things on my list for August, and we'll see how many of those I get to. I don't know. One other little show and tell right here. So I picked up this project to work on again. I am adding some stitching using this, what do I call this? It's a fusible that I bought from Renbird Arts, and you iron this on and then use it to do your stitches, and then you wash it away. And so I met up with a friend of mine, and we started our own little stitch club so that we could work on some of the, work on our hand projects. And so this one I started a few years ago, and it just got set aside. So I don't know if I showed this last time or not. Stitch and rinse. They are sashiko style transfers. So you can mend a hole with it, or you can, let's see. Oh, peel and stick the pattern to the top side of your mend. And then you just wash it away. So let's see. The set that I got came with these cute designs. And as we were both working on our projects, Jane told me about a lot of other really cool resources for these, that you could get stencils instead of peel and stick. So you use a stencil, then you can mark it and transfer your design to the space that you're trying to fill with your design, if you like that idea. But there are, here, this section is done, but I haven't taken it out yet. But I think there's a couple more places where I could add stitching to it. And so I will be working on this again this month. And that should be more than enough to keep me busy. I hope that you get a chance to keep working on some of your projects, whatever you are working on this morning. Jane was quilting. So Jane, I hope you got a little bit done on your quilting. If you had to work while we were streaming, I hope you get a chance later today or this weekend to enjoy some of our hobby. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you leaving comments for me. I hope that you'll continue to do that and let me know about what you're working on and what your plans are. I hope you have a great month of August, whether it involves going back to school or not going back to school, and hope things are well with you. So until next time, my name is Stephanie. I will see you soon, I hope. Look for all of the rest of my videos on my YouTube channel. I know I will have another short video coming out next week, and probably another episode the week or so after that. So you can look for those. And if there's anything that you want me to show you or talk about in more detail, just leave me a note or send me an email to everydaysewist@gmail.com. And those links are in the description box. So again, hope to see you again. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.